Oftentimes, honorable members, we forget that these proceedings are carried on radio and with television. Today, this prayer I offer to some special people in southern Alberta. One was born in the prairies, but the other was born in the Azores and chose Canada. But together we all make this great nation what it is and what it can be. We give thanks to God for the rich heritage of this province is found in our people. We pray that native-born Albertans and those who have come from other places may continue to work together to preserve and enlarge the precious heritage called Alberta and the heritage called Canada. Amen.
Introduction of visitors. Presenting petitions. Reading and receiving petitions. Presenting reports by standing and special committees.
Speaker, it's with a great deal of pleasure that I table the first of what I trust will be a series of annual reports by the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. This report covers the activities of the Public Accounts Committee during the third session of the 22nd Legislature.
Notices of motions. Introduction of bill.
Goldbar, notice of motion.
Mr. Speaker, I beg leave to give notice that after question period under Standing Order 40, I will propose the following motion. Be it resolved, the Legislative Assembly of Alberta send its sincere congratulations to the 14 outstanding women who received honors at the YWCA dinners in Calgary and Edmonton this week.
Introduction of bills. Tabling returns and reports.
Public Works Supply and Services.
To table with the Assembly today the 1990-91 annual report of the Department of Public Works Supply and Services.
Minister of Advanced Education.
Mr. Speaker, I'm pleased to file responses to the following motions for return. Numbers 284, 295, 296, 297, and motion for return 298.
Introduction of special guests.
House, followed by Minister of Public Works Supply and Services.
Mr. Speaker, today we have as special guests three very important people from the constituency of Rocky Mountain House. They're up here on some very special business promoting tourism in their community and want me to extend to you and members of this legislature a special invitation to an international marathon swim on August the 7th. They are Herr Ross Schumann, Peggy Finley, and Marg Phelan, members of the Economic Development Committee of the town of Sylvan Lake. I would ask them to rise, and would the Assembly please give them the cordial welcome.
Minister of Public Works Supply and Services, followed by Advanced Education.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the members' gallery today are two prime supporters of the equine industry in the province of Alberta, Mr. Yvon Brochu of Stony Plain, who's a board member of the Alberta Racing Commission, Mr. Rainey Gellner, who's the manager of the Canadian Thoroughbred Horse Society. Mr. Speaker, they are in the members' gallery. I'd ask them to rise and receive the warm welcome, members.
Speaker, I would like to welcome today, on behalf of Premier Getty, some 50 senior high school students from around the province of Alberta who are in the public gallery and as part of the Forum for Young Albertans program. These students, Mr. Speaker, are participating in a unique, nonpartisan program which gives them exposure to the people and processes of the different levels of government. The major political parties, the judiciary, the media, as well as business and labor are just some examples. With him today, Mr. Speaker, are chaperones, if they are still still in order in the 90s. Program Executive Director and former Medicine Hat Alderman Blair Stoltz, who at one time served this House as a page, Annette Blossom, Amy Hansen, Canis Tang, and Nadia Jagar. These students, Mr. Speaker, have spent considerable amount of time this week discussing and prioritizing their own views on the Constitution. They also prepared presentations to celebrate and encourage national unity. Tomorrow, Mr. Speaker, they will be debating two motions raised in private government members' hour in a mock parliamentary debate, and those, I understand, are being kept secret until tomorrow. This evening, Mr. Speaker, they'll be having dinner with their respective MLAs. I would ask, Mr. Speaker, that these exciting young people with the Forum for Young Albertans arise and have members of the House welcome them.
Calgary Northwest.
Mr. Speaker, it is a pleasure for me today to introduce to you and to members of the legislature 35 visitors from St. Vincent de Paul School in the constituency of Calgary Northwest. They were accompanied by their teacher, Mr. Pat McMillan, and there were three parents as well, Mr. Kerr, Mrs. Yasinski, and Mrs. Anderson. I'd ask them to rise in the public gallery and ask my colleagues in the legislature to extend a warm welcome to these students.
Member for Athabasca.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's my pleasure to introduce to you and through you to the members of this Assembly 37 students from grade 5 and 6 and 10 from the Grassland Community School in the constituency of Athabasca-Lac-Levis. They are accompanied today by their teachers, Mrs. Anna Johnson and Mr. Ray Hewitt, and bus driver Ken Wallach, and also parent Mrs. Sandra Mannon. And I also like to advise the Assembly that Ryan Mannon is also the son of Sandra Mannon, working as a page here in the House. Mr. Speaker, they are seated in the public gallery. Now I would ask them to rise and receive the traditional welcome of this Assembly.
Ministerial statements. Oral question period.
Highlands on behalf of the New Democratic Party, official opposition.
Mr. Speaker, for years the New Democrat opposition has been calling for full disclosure of lottery expenditures in the Assembly. For years the government has resisted, and I believe we know why the Getty Conservatives won't disclose full expenditures, and it's because they don't want Alberta taxpayers to know how all the money is being spent. The latest chapter happened yesterday, Mr. Speaker, in Public Accounts, where a New Democrat asked questions of the Auditor General, and the Auditor General had to say there's $13 million worth of expenditures about which he is told absolutely nothing, and he implied that this is contravening the laws of Alberta. So I'd like to ask the Minister responsible for lottery expenditures just how it is that he plans to start conforming with the law, and when we can expect to see full disclosure of all lottery expenditures through the public accounts.
Mr. Speaker, I welcome the question. I also welcome an invitation, Mr. Speaker, would welcome an invitation by the Chairman of the Public Accounts Committee to appear before the Public Accounts to discuss any and all matters relative or arising out of the Auditor General's report. What I guess find some degree of difficulty, Mr. Speaker, is that there are two annual reports printed that cover all lottery expenditures on an annual basis. One is a report that's printed by the Western Canada Lottery Corporation called the Annual Report 1991, which clearly outlines all of the expenditure levels related to lotteries. The second report, Mr. Speaker, is a report called the Western Canada Lottery Alberta Division 1990-91 Annual Report, Mr. Speaker. Both of these reports are made public on an annual basis. These reports have been public for a number of months, Mr. Speaker. They outline entirely the whole level of all expenditures related to any aspect dealing with lotteries in the Western Canada Lottery Corporation or Alberta lotteries, Mr. Speaker. There's a line covering all items dealing with $13 million worth of expenditures. Mr. Speaker, I would invite the member from Edmonton Highwood, Highlands, I would invite any member of the NDP caucus, I would invite the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee to invite me to appear before Public Accounts. I would be delighted to go through each and every line, Mr. Speaker.
Good, thank you. We look forward to a supplementary line by line.
Mr. Speaker, the fact of the matter is that those reports do not come under the purview of the Auditor General, the person who is hired by an all-party committee of this Assembly to scrutinize every expenditure conducted by the Alberta government. That's the issue, and this minister shouldn't imply that it's anything else. Will the minister now agree that if he's so satisfied that his accounting through those other reports is so accurate and above question that he will submit those to the Auditor General as part of the annual report of the Lotteries of Alberta?
Mr. Speaker, the reports, the annual reports, and the administration dealing with the governance of the Western Canada Lottery Corporation and, in fact, Alberta Lotteries are both audited by professional accountants, chartered accountants, members of the professional association, signed by Ernst & Young, Mr. Speaker. The latest report signed in Edmonton, Alberta, May 28, 1991. If the Auditor General in the province of Alberta has not received a copy of the report, I'll make sure that the Auditor General receives a copy of both reports, Mr. Speaker. This is a professional matter. If the Auditor General in the province of Alberta is saying that these professional accountants, members of their profession, Ernst & Young, are not doing an accounting or audit according to all the principles established by the profession, then I wish that he would say it, or if that's what's being applied by the member from Edmonton Highlands, I wish she would say it, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, the fact is that these numbers do not come under the purview of the Auditor General for Alberta. So let me make another point clear. The problem really originates with this minister and this government by virtue of the fact that they won't bring the estimates, how they plan to spend the lottery revenues into the Assembly. If they would do that, there would be no problem at all. Is the minister or the government now prepared to bring lottery revenues in front of the Assembly on an annual basis so the entire Assembly can decide how that money is spent?
Mr. Speaker, this is the blue book known as Government Estimates and Capital Fund Expenditures 1992-93. This is part of the documentation that was provided by the Provincial Treasurer. Mr. Speaker, if the Honourable Member would go to page 117 under the Department of Public Works Supply and Services Estimates, they would see Vote 8, Gaming Policy, Licensing and Control. Mr. Speaker, the estimates of the Department of Public Works Supply and Services will be brought before this committee. In fact, they can even be designated, Mr. Speaker. If the Leader of the Opposition chooses by, I think, 4 o'clock on a Monday to designate a certain estimate for a Wednesday of that week, that minister will be called. We've now been in this session, Mr. Speaker, for nearly 4 or 5 weeks. I have not received an invitation by the Leader of the Opposition to be designated. I would be delighted to be here next Wednesday afternoon, the earliest appropriate time, to deal with the estimates, Mr. Speaker, if the NDP would invite me, Mr. Speaker.
Second main question.
Speak the facts, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to designate the second question to the member for Jasper Place.
Jasper Place.
Maclean's magazine says that he hates to work and he's not interested in policy, but aside from that, I say we got a great premier here in Alberta, just a first class. And I wonder, since on February the 13th, the premier announced that he will review the awarding of contracts to recycle the annual supply of 2.5 million tires in the province of Alberta. At that time, the Premier rejected a request by the Minister of the Environment to be reviewed independently by the Ombudsman. So far, the only thing that this review has achieved is yet another review announced yesterday into incineration and pyrolysis. And of course, much has been made about the timing of the announcement, but I'm wondering if it has any substance. I'd like to ask the Minister of the Environment. Oh, no Minister of the Environment. No Premier. Perhaps I could ask the acting Premier if he would explain if there's anything new in the fact that the government is creating a review, or are they merely trying to create some false hope and expectation for people in the Trochu area that there'll be some relief down the road?
Thank you.
Happy to
take that question as notice as the Acting Minister of the Environment. A comprehensive question. I'm sure the Minister will respond when he's back.
Well, perhaps I could ask a simple question then of the Acting Premier. The government previously awarded a contract to recycle 1.3 tires in the city of Edmonton and a further contract to process and recycle 1.2 million tires in Okotoks. That takes care of 100% of the supply of used or disused tires in Alberta. Now, unless the government's planning to import some tires from British Columbia or China or Palm Springs, got no more tires to get around. So I'd simply like to ask the Acting Premier how stupid the government thinks people in Trochu are.
Good question.
Mr. Speaker, go ahead. Mr. Speaker, it's true, if you're here long enough, you finally get to be acting Premier. I think in answer to the honourable member's question, that I would indicate that the one answered by the Acting Minister of Environment previously will be the same for this particular one. We'll pass it on to the Minister and respond.
So he can't explain how he can get more tires than the 2.5 million they've already gave contracts to. Well, perhaps the Acting Premier could answer this question. In the news release yesterday, the government said, "We did not put sufficient emphasis on those applicants who proposed pyrolysis and incineration." A very difficult claim to evaluate, since the real Minister of the Environment has now refused twice to release the Ministerial Advisory Committee report that came to that conclusion. And I would like the Acting Premier to explain what right the government has to withhold that information, the report on which the decision was based, in the current circumstances.
Good question.
Well, good question. Mr. Speaker, it's a good question. But in the same sense, not having the knowledge of that particular one, I'll take it as notice and pass it on to the Minister. And I assume that I may get a question quickly that I can answer for you.
Westlock Sturgeon on behalf of the Liberal Party.
My question continues down to the Minister of Lotteries. Last winter, Mr. Speaker, Albertans were shocked to learn that the Minister of Lotteries had moved the printing of lottery tickets to his hometown of Barhead without allowing any other town to bid on the project. And during the last couple of months, Mr. Speaker, I've been told by at least 3 people seeking jobs in this plant that when they were asked, that they were told to drop their resumes off at the MLA's office. Now, Mr. Speaker, this minister is known to use a sort of an Alabama type of style of political operating, but wouldn't he confirm that he's now acting as employment agency for the ticket printers?
Mr. Speaker, one of the initiatives in terms of the improvement of job opportunities in the province of Alberta and the procurement of Alberta-based products that are purchased by the Western Canada Lottery Corporation was a decision made, a very aggressive decision made several years ago, that Alberta, and placed within the province of Alberta, would be increasing opportunities for Albertans to either participate in or procure or deal with the Western Canada Lottery Corporation, which has its head offices located in Winnipeg, Manitoba. We do 57 to 58% of the sales of the Western Canada Lottery Corporation in the province of Alberta, and we determined as a policy that 57 to 58% of the activity of the Western Canada Lottery Corporation be placed in the province of Alberta. Decisions were made that one portion of the Western Canada Lottery Corporation would move to the community of Settler, Alberta. A second decision was made that ticket printing, which is private sector printing, a contract awarded to a private sector firm by the name of Pollard Banknote Limited, with plants in both Winnipeg and in the interior of British Columbia, would move to the province of Alberta and begin the printing of tickets within the province of Alberta and provide opportunities for some 50 Albertans. Pollard Banknote Limited selected the community of Barhead on their own, Mr. Speaker. And I want to make that very clear, and I'll say that again in this House, Mr. Speaker. And if any member in the opposition chooses to imply anything else, Mr. Speaker, there is a legitimate mechanism of this House that I think allows a charge to be made. So please, if any member chooses to do that in the opposition, please let them bring forth those charges, Mr. Speaker. Secondly, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member. Supplementary.
Speaker, the minister is maintaining his reputation as a great humorist anyhow. Could we go on then? Which the answer, he didn't answer the question of why he is taking resumes in his office as to whether they can work in this plant. Would he go this far that the only reason he is asking that people drop the resumes off to his office is to make sure that they had the right political connections and right political work background before you let them go on and get a job?
Mr. Speaker, when the announcement was made in the community of Barrhead, last fall, Pollard Banknote Limited said that they would begin receiving applications for any individual who would choose to work in their plant. Mr. Speaker, I have a constituency office in the community of Barrhead. There's also an economic development office in the community of Barrhead. And we were asked, the MLA for the constituency of Barrhead, as was the Barrhead Economic Development Committee, if it would be inconvenient that if individuals came and expressed an interest in having a curriculum.
All right, thank you. Order. Honorable Minister.
As a convenience to not only the people who live in the constituency of Barrhead, but those who live in Westlock, Sturgeon, and other places, if they phone my...
Order, Honorable Minister. Order, Honorable Members. I think that's enough. You're wasting your own time, and I'll stand here as long as you want till the end of question period. Honorable Minister.
When individuals phone my office in Barrhead and inquire how do they submit an application to Pollard Banknote Limited, we have said that if they choose to bring it to my constituency office in Barrhead, we would be pleased to forward it to Pollard Banknote Limited in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Mr. Speaker, I have received applications in my office that are not opened by me or anyone else, Mr. Speaker. They're put in an envelope, and it's a convenience to the people, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, just over the weekend, I received 2 from people in Westlock asking me to convey that to Pollard Banknote Limited, Mr. Speaker. Now, further to this, Mr. Speaker, Pollard Banknote has indicated that they will start screening their applications midsummer. They will train the individuals, Mr. Speaker, and for the member from Westlock Sturgeon to make a attempted humor, Mr. Speaker, in terms of an MLA helping his constituents and other Albertans, I think is...
Thank you. Supplementary question, Westlock Sturgeon.
I've hurt his feelings. I'm on to the third question. I could remark too, Mr. Speaker, that if indeed the applications are in, why did he ask to be in open envelope so he could look at them before he passed them on? But the question is this. Will the minister agree to refer this practice, a very questionable one at best, one that's so odious it smells all the way over here? Will he
Order. Perhaps we could have questions without words like odious and so forth. And just the question, please.
No, I'm sorry, then. I wouldn't want to refer to the honourable member's headquarters again, then. I will only say this, then. Would he agree to refer this rather questionable practice to the Ethics Commissioner for a ruling?
I would be delighted to do that. I will publicly ask the Ethics Commissioner to inquire into the question whether or not it's appropriate for an MLA in the province of Alberta, when he receives a request to refer something to an employer, whether or not the MLA should do that. Mr. Speaker, I do that for constituents who read the publication put out by the Public Service Commissioner in the province of Alberta advertising jobs in the province of Alberta, who come into my office and say, would you use the courier system to send it in Edmonton? Would you convey this, Mr. Speaker, to the appropriate agency? Mr. Speaker, I do that. Mr. Speaker, I support my...
Thank you. Thank you. Order. certainly appears that one caucus had a happy lunch hour. Drayton Valley, followed by Calgary Forest Lawn. Actually,
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Knowing this government's long-standing and continued support for the 4-H movement in Alberta, I'd like to ask a question to the Minister of Transportation and Utilities, and hopefully he can answer this in his own right without having to take it on advisory. There was a 4-H cleanup on the highways last Saturday, and I wonder if the Minister could just give the people of Alberta an update on how this proceeded this year.
Mr. Speaker, yes, I'd be delighted to, and I at the same time would also like to express a concern. Delighted in the sense that there were 7,640 young people who participated in the cleanup on the weekend. There were 4,500 plus adults that were involved in that over the weekend, and no incidents were reported. That's the good news. The other good news is that they picked up 54,046 bags of garbage. 54,000. And I guess the concern I have is that was primarily put there by Albertans. And that was on only 7,600 kilometers. And of course, what does occur, this is the 16th year of that particular practice going on, and the sum of money roughly will be around $173,000 that we will pay to those organizations, be they 4-H clubs, Air Cadets, school groups, church groups, or whatever the case may be. And I want to thank those young people and those adults for the time that they gave on this particular weekend.
Supplementary, Mr. Speaker, knowing that the safety of these children is always a paramount concern to this government, were there any added precautions taken that have differed from other years to maintain this safety?
Not really. A couple of years ago, after the unfortunate death of one young fellow that was involved with the cleanup, we put together a kit, and that kit is for a training program for both the adults and the young people prior to going out on that particular day. And I might also add that they've done that extremely well. And one of the problems we were having was we had a lot of the adults were really down in the ditch picking up garbage rather than being between the children and the road, and that, to my knowledge, worked extremely well this year. They were picking up garbage, but it was closer to the road, and the young people were in the ditch, and that really helps. I should also point out, Mr. Speaker, that if you recall when we made the initial announcement that it was for this past weekend, and if any areas got rain, that it would be for the next weekend. One area did, and it happens to be in my own area. They were both rained and snowed out in the high-level area, and it will go on May the 9th in that area. So to the people driving on the Mackenzie Highway, Highway 58, and any other roads in the area, please watch those young people who are out picking up garbage.
First line.
A federal report on the Immigrant Investor Program is called the program a threat to Canada's image abroad. No doubt the Joe Dutton fiasco has damaged the program's credibility almost as much as it has tarnished Alberta's image. Today it was reported that the gold mine to which Dutton sold his fund, in which he pocketed some $3 million for himself, has announced that the gold reserves are less than a quarter of the original projections. And the company's share price has tumbled some 90% since last December. My question is to the Minister of Career Development and Employment. Given that Mr. Dutton elected to violate the terms and spirit of his offering memorandum and sell his fund to a high-risk gold mine when he had an opportunity to invest in a secure office building in Regina, will the Minister now advise the Assembly when Albertans can expect a decision as to any impropriety on the part of Mr. Dutton?
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's very interesting. I think the honourable member should poise his question in the House in Saskatchewan. It's predominantly and mainly a Saskatchewan issue, as this was entirely dealt with by Mr. Dutton in a Saskatchewan offering. It has nothing to do with Alberta whatsoever. There is no violation under any Alberta contract or any Alberta offering or any Alberta sale. I can't understand what the honourable member is referring to, Mr. Speaker.
As the Minister full well knows, that Mr. Dutton worked in one of our offices abroad, and that's where he established all of these contacts, and he made these contacts under the name and authority of the Alberta government. Today we also discovered that our province has attracted only 3% of the money that has come into Canada under the program, while BC, which has identical guidelines, received nearly 3 times that amount. So my question to the Minister, Mr. Speaker, is this. Will the Minister admit that the reason for Albertans' dismal performance under this program is because of this because this government has, in accordance with its general policy, chosen to approve the appointments of well-connected political cronies like Joe Dutton, who was also incidentally awarded one of the most lucrative wine licenses in the city of Calgary, instead of basing approvals on the merits and offerings and the character of the principals that are involved.
Hear, hear. Well, Mr. Speaker, I welcome the opportunity to deal with the specific questions that relates to Alberta and why we are so low on the totem. I accept that. This is very objective reporting, and there are valid reasons. And that's why this minister took the responsibility and challenge to first take on and negotiate with the federal government to have new level playing field. The tier structure has been changed, and as he would refer to and look through the article, he would also see that in December of '92, we had anticipated and project that Alberta will be back in the game, live and well, and we certainly look to increase offerings and take up in that business investor category.
Mr. Speaker, we all remember the personalized Samsonite expensive briefcases and the infamous junket to the Far East by the member from Red Deer North, all paid for with lottery funds. To the minister responsible for lotteries, why does the minister insist on hiding the full details of the $13 million lottery operational costs?
Hear, hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, the Western Canada Lottery Alberta Division 1990 Annual Report lists on page 6, 7, and 8 of it, Mr. Speaker, the figures. So let us begin. 1991, salaries and benefits, $3,716,169. Advertising and corporate community relations, $3,001,863. Travel, $711,732. Professional fees, $434,623. Maintenance.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. I know. Thank you, Honourable Minister, and I wish that the other members would realize that they're asking repetitious questions. What's the supplementary, please?
Mr. Speaker, to the minister responsible for lotteries, and some would claim barhead employment. Will the minister responsible for lotteries table in this assembly a detailed accounting of these expenditures, including all travel to out-of-country spots, be it Las Vegas or wherever?
Hear, hear.
Mr. Speaker, I repeat again what I've said before. I'd be delighted to receive an invitation from the Public Accounts Committee to appear before it. Mr. Speaker, I can be designated, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the honourable member from Edmund Whitemud can ask any question he wants. I'll give him the answer. And Mr. Speaker, he can provide all that information as per the request, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Rocky Mountain House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In central Alberta, there has been a...
Rocky Mountain House, just half a moment. Anybody else, now that I'm up to 3? Any others? Anybody else want to come in? Thank you. Rocky Mountain House.
Thank you. In central Alberta, there has been a labor dispute that has closed the schools in 10 jurisdictions for the past 5 weeks. I know there's been a mediator working on this situation since last September, but there doesn't seem to be much progress. To the Minister of Labour, since there doesn't seem to be any progress, are you planning on any action in the immediate future?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Yes, today I issued a news release that I've appointed a special representative to meet with all parties in the Battle River teachers' contract dispute. I've instructed Ken Albertini, who is former chair of the Adjudication Division of the Industrial Relations Council of British Columbia, to meet with Battle River area trustees, teacher representatives, and home and school associations still affected by the strike. We have 2 boards that have actually come to a settlement. Mr. Albertini will gather information about the position of each party and explore all possible options for a negotiated agreement. And he will then report back to me next Monday.
Well, thanks, Mr. Speaker. That's good news, but I'm curious whether, in fact, he is going to be getting both parties together and seeing if we can hammer this out over the weekend.
To my knowledge, he's on his way now, even as we speak here in the House, down to Red Deer, and his first request is to speak to the bargaining team representing the boards, and then the bargaining team that is representing the teachers. But he also wishes to meet individually with each school board in the area, and with each group of teachers bargaining units in the area, and also with each home and school association in the area. He would be hoping to do that in the course of the next 2 or 3 days. One of his tasks is to explore whether indeed there is any area in which the parties can come to a mutual agreement. He will be working very hard to do that, and if there isn't any likelihood at all that that is possible, he will be sitting down with the two bargaining teams. I for one sincerely hope that they will. It's simply unconscionable to continue to hold these children to ransom. We cannot afford to put their future at risk any longer.
Edmonton Mill Woods.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My questions today are to the Minister of Occupational Health and Safety. It's now been some 3 years since this minister has had this portfolio, and in that time, he's only introduced one minor amendment to the occupational health and safety regulations of the province. Mr. Speaker, let's contrast that to the province of Ontario, where the New Democratic government has introduced 21 new or amended health and safety regulations, 5 of which have been major new initiatives. So to the Minister of Occupational Health and Safety, I'd simply like to ask him this. Can he explain how his total non-performance in this area of introducing health and safety regulations can be interpreted by Alberta workers as anything less than a total disregard for their well-being?
Mr. Speaker, I can appreciate Ontario had to do that because there was a need for it. There is no need in Alberta.
Well, that explains the Liberal government in Ontario, but what about this minister's performance here? That's what we're talking about today, and so I'd like to ask this minister when we're going to be getting these regulations. In particular, yesterday or the day before in the Occupational Health and Safety estimates, he said that the asbestos regulation was going to be coming, quote, very, very quickly, unquote. Mr. Minister, when exactly will that regulation be coming forward?
Very quickly, Mr. Speaker.
West Yellowhead, followed by Edmonton Mill.
It's almost a year now, Mr. Speaker, since the report on the government's investigation into the Hinton-tainted fuel incident was released.
Oh, he was reading
the report indicated that bungling by various government departments in the initial handling of the incident meant that we would probably never discover the culprit or culprits responsible for injuring some 200 Albertans, some of whom continue to suffer to this day. I would like to ask the Solicitor General if he would tell the Assembly what preventive measures have been taken in the 2 years since the poisoning to ensure that no Albertans will ever become the innocent victims of another such crime as this.
Mr. Speaker, I think that this is probably better addressed in some other departments, but again, we have asked for, as we did before, a full report from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and I will certainly follow up with the Commissioner, Assistant Commissioner Holmes, to check where that is at this time.
7 of the victims, Mr. Speaker, have launched lawsuits to try to get some compensation for their suffering. Unfortunately, Don Johnson, the most severely affected victim, is prevented by the Workmen's Compensation Act from suing anyone in this matter. He is forced to rely on the WCB pension of less than 10% of what he was able to make when he was able to work. Will the minister responsible for the Workmen's Compensation Board, in recognition of the government's original mishandling of this matter, show Albertans that he really does have a heart, and either authorize some form of special compensation for Mr. Johnston and his family, or at least permit him to initiate a lawsuit?
Mr. Speaker, you know, it's a sad case with the gentleman from Hinton that had this difficulty, and we all agree. Now, the Workers' Compensation Board toured the province and went to 20 locations over a period of time, and they were in Hinton. I was wondering if the MLA for the area, West Yellowhead, made a presentation on behalf of the gentleman. I've asked the Workers' Compensation Board to review the matter and provide everything that's available that is fair and just and right to the injured worker, and that's what they've done. And if he's not satisfied, then there is an appeal process, and of course they can also take it to the Ombudsman. I hope he'd go through that route, but I cannot instruct the board to pay something that's not fair.
Meadowlark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the expert panel on forest management chaired by Professor Danzig criticized the lack of a provincial strategy for wildlife management. And a survey of professional engineers undertaken in, professional foresters in Canada carried out in 1990 indicated that 55% of Alberta foresters consider that wildlife management is a very or somewhat serious problem. To the Minister of Forestry, Lands and Wildlife, when can we expect the Minister to respond to these concerns by properly enhancing wildlife monitoring and management in this province?
Well, Mr. Speaker, first of all, the Danzig report made a number of recommendations. A number of them we have already acted on. A number of them we are now working on. Some of them that we've acted on have to do in the whole area of wildlife and to enhance the number of fish and wildlife officers that we have in this province. And in my budget this year, I have an addition there, as well as the restructuring within the department to make absolutely sure that the coordination between forestry and fish and wildlife is more compatible.
We have seen the promise, Mr. Speaker, of 3 additional ecological reserves presumably in the near future, but there is still almost no proper protection of boreal forest reserves in this province. Is the Minister working with the Minister of Tourism, Parks and Recreation to designate large-scale ecological reserves in the boreal forest region of the province, reserves of sufficient size, not postage stamps, but reserves of sufficient size to be properly self-sustaining?
Hear, hear. Well, Mr. Speaker, that's very, it sounds all very well in the way the member phrases his question, but the real life is this, that about 14% of Alberta is presently protected, and some of it very well protected under ecologic reserves, under natural areas, and we are looking at doing even more. We have recently the Lakeland Park. We're looking at also setting aside forested areas. We recognize the need for old-growth forest. And Mr. Speaker, I would ask the honourable member to please look into what we've done even in the last 6 to 8 months to recognize we've made considerable progress.
Here, here. Yeah, nice work. Highwood, followed by Edmonton Beverly.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My questions today are to the Minister of Public Works, Supply and Services. Mr. Speaker, a year or so ago, the Honourable Minister announced an initiative on procurement of environmentally responsible products. My question to the Minister then, is this program moving ahead in an orderly way, or is it in the back burner or under the carpet?
Mr. Speaker, in the spring of 1991, the government announced a policy called the Procurement Policy in Environmentally Responsible Products, and we announced that in essence that we would be attempting to ensure that we would use environmentally safe products, green products within the public service and the organization known as the Government of Alberta, and we'd attempt to reduce waste and as much as we could with respect to these matters. A year ago we had some 40 product that was available to various government departments. That number has now risen to some 250 such products, everything going from various kinds of papers to the kinds of fuels that are used in some vehicles, toner cartridges for Xerox machines, and that sort of thing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can the Minister explain whether his department is in the process of replicating the costly propane conversion of motor vehicles and reconversion to gasoline that the Canadian Defence Department has experienced while expending over some $10 million on that exercise? Is he doing that?
No, Mr. Speaker, we are not. In the spring again of 1991, we announced that we'd be undertaking a pilot project with the utilization and the transfer of some vehicles within the system and converting them to natural gas use, and then we're running a test project for about a year to determine whether or not it was economically a good investment to do it, and as well, environmentally positive. Mr. Speaker, basically, I don't have the full report yet, but the tentative results seem to indicate that it makes no economic sense to convert to natural gas unless there is a certain amount of mileage used per month, and there's access of the vehicles in question to distributorships that sell the fuel. Mr. Speaker, I gather the federal government, through the Department of National Defense, spent some $10 million and decided it wasn't such a good project, but we're going to continue to evaluate it. Is one of the authors of a report that was published in 1986 or 1987, a document called The Environment and the Economy, which coined the phrase sustainable development, Mr. Speaker. That's the principle we're using with respect to this project in 1992.
Beverly.
Mr. Speaker, recent difficulties at the Edmonton Remand Centre are not the only problems that are facing the correctional centres in the Solicitor General's Department. The Belmont Correctional Centre is also plagued with problems. My question is to the Solicitor General. Is the Minister aware of the problems at the Belmont Correctional Centre, and if he is, what is he planning to do about it?
Mr. Speaker, I'm aware of the Edmonton Belmont Centre and its function, and we review our centres on an ongoing basis, and I'm not aware of any imminent problems at that centre. I do know that it's a minimum security community correctional center which has a bed capacity of about 252, and at the present time, on an ongoing basis, it has about 160 people in average. There's 45 correctional people that work there, and it functions very well in many areas of people that are minimum security as they enter back into society. And so if the individual member has any specifics, please bring them forward.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, I have some specifics, and I'll be delighted to bring them to the Minister. But for example, there are questions very similar to those at the remand about understaffing, particularly of experienced staff. There's practice of favoritism, inexperienced personnel carrying out duties that jeopardizes their safety, not to mention the safety of the community in which they function. Particularly, there's also a problem with the federal prisoners being housed at what seems to be a minimum security facility. My question to the Minister then, Mr. Speaker, is the Minister prepared to meet with some of the staff members that work at the Belmont Centre to get a complete story of the difficulties in that facility from both sides, both the management and the staff as well?
Mr. Speaker, the staff of the Solicitor General's Department meets on an ongoing basis with all of our personnel in corrections, and if there is a need there, or if there's an ongoing discussion that's out there at the present time, we will certainly be willing to meet with them. I just want to stress, so that there's nothing left as a tremendous safety problem to the public, the Belmont Correctional Centre houses provincial inmates who have received a minimum classification, as well as intermittent servers and fine defaulters. In addition, offenders, both male and female, who have been released on day parole and by National Parole Board, are admitted to this centre. And these are minimum security individuals that need help in their transition into society. And I want to assure everybody that there's no insinuation here that there is grave public safety concerns.
Mr. Speaker, my questions too are to the Honourable Solicitor General. Mr. Speaker, last year the former Solicitor General indicated that he would respond to our request to investigate the highly successful London model for responding to family violence. This is the model that's the program that's run under the aegis of the London Police Department. Will the Minister bring the House up to date as the work he has done, as to the work you've done in investigating this model?
Mr. Speaker, our department has done extensive investigations, not only on that model, but on the problem as it exists in Alberta and throughout Canada. We have an interdepartmental committee that involves not only the Solicitor General's Department, but social services, healthcare, and the minister responsible for women's issues. I know that in the future, as we go through our estimates, as well as we go through the program of family violence, that we will be indicating what our research has brought forward, and we're bringing new initiatives to address family violence in the province of Alberta. And We will be doing it forthwith, as I have in other reports that we have and other discussions. I will assure this Assembly, as I stand here today, that all information will be brought forward, not only to this Assembly, but to the people of Alberta, and we will take some brand new initiatives as it relates to family violence.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Minister, perhaps the Minister, however, could tell the House now what kinds of specialized training police officers have received since some of these new initiatives began, and does that training include an examination of officers' attitudes towards women?
Attitude. The latter part of the question, I can't specifically give an indication here today, but I can say that the Solicitor General Staff Training College here in Edmonton has an extensive program of education of training officers, as well as the individual municipal police forces and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police have set up within their organizations training modules that educate the police officers in their approach to family violence and how they handle it, and as well as a better understanding of it. We're in about the second year of a 3-year project that we started in 1990, and I can indicate that some of the progress made is encouraging, and we have seen some 3,545 cases that since reporting has started, and a 54% charge rate in those, and we're working on in our correctional institutions on helping those individuals, not only the perpetrators, but also on some of our female offenders that have been victims themselves of violence in the family. Along with that goes training of our correctional officers, as well as education of the police officers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question this afternoon is to the Honourable Solicitor General. Mr. Speaker, we all know that the Alberta under the leadership of our Premier has taken the leading role in dealing with Aboriginal issues and dealing with Aboriginal people. An example of this, even in this House, we have 3 Aboriginal members in the government side of the House.
Really?
Mr. Speaker, the Causey report, Justice on Trial, was released over a year ago with over 300 recommendations. Could the Honourable Minister advise this Assembly as to what action his department has taken to address these issues recommended in the report?
Good question. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, you can see by the number of questions that the Solicitor General's department impacts on all levels of life, and I'm pleased to be able to report on this one. The Causey report, Justice on Trial, a report on the criminal justice system and its impact also on Indian Métis people, is one that we can well be proud of. I think it's one of the best reports in Canada at the present time on our criminal justice system and its relationship to the Aboriginal people. The 340 recommendations were compressed into about 10 themes, and our department has been working at consultation following the report with the Aboriginal people and the Métis people in relationship to programs we can start. We have probably started to give direction in about 35% of the 340 recommendations. Let me just give a few examples. We're working in Aboriginal policing. The Louis Bull Police Service has a full policing responsibility at the present time, and we're working with the Blood Tribe to their own full policing responsibility. And other correctional initiatives have been in 3 major contracts that we've signed. One to the Yellowhead Tribal Council, which provides community correction programs as it relates to probation, temporary absence, supervision, and fine options. As we go forward, we're going to work with the elders of the various groups to look at community justice committees and models that will work on the various nations and reserves throughout this province. There are 43 of them. I'm very encouraged with the level of communication and consultation that we've had with the...
Thank you. Supplementary, Athabasca Laklavish.
Speaker, the Liberals, the member from Calgary Northwest, may think Aboriginal issues are low because that's what he seems to indicate across the floor here. I disagree with him fully, of course. Mr. Speaker, my supplement to the Honourable Minister is, could the Minister advise this Assembly as to what action he'll be taking to encourage other departments within our government to participate in addressing some of these issues that are outlined in the report?
Good question. Good. Well, Mr. Speaker, the criminal justice system, not only as it relates to Aboriginal people, but to our total society, needs an ongoing review. I have been very impressed by my discussions so far with the Aboriginal people and the Métis as to their full understanding of the criminal justice system and what it needs to be corrected and to better fulfill a direction for our young people. I'm going to take those communications that I've had with them and communicate with the Attorney General's Department, as well as with Solicitor General Doug Lewis in Ottawa, to see if we can't formulate some new and innovative directions, not only for Aboriginal policing and their justice system, but how it may overrun into the rest of the system. I also will be communicating with Career Development Employment to understand what programs can be brought forward as alternative measures within the system, and also with social services, because we know that in some areas 85% of the populations are on some form of social assistance, and we need alternative measures to help in those families that have impacted through the criminal justice system but need help getting back into a full productive life.
Right, we revert to the introduction of special guests. Opposed? Carried. Thank you. First, member for Highwood. Secondly, Minister of Family and Social Services.
And thank you to the members. I'm delighted today to introduce to you and through you to members of this Assembly 35 dedicated students from the Prairie Junior High School in Three Hills. They are accompanied today by Mr. Gord Robideau, Mrs. Patty Clevin, and Mr. Glenn Steeves. I'd ask them to rise in the public gallery and receive the warm traditional welcome of the Assembly.
Minister of Family and Social Services.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. It's a pleasure for me at this time to take this opportunity of introducing through you and to the members of the Legislative Assembly 59 students from the Mountain View Elementary School located in the constituency of Red Deer South. Mr. Speaker, I wouldn't want to give my colleagues the wrong impression, or I wouldn't want them to think that these students didn't appreciate the questions and the answers that we provided this afternoon, but I think we did test their patience a little, and they have been somewhat restless, but perhaps, Mr. Speaker, we can learn from the model behavior that they maintain throughout this question period. I would also, Mr. Speaker, just want to make a note of one of the students. Nicole Riddell is there, is seated in the members' gallery, Mr. Speaker, the granddaughter of a former member of this Assembly, the late Norm McGee, who served the single constituency then of Red Deer South from 1979 to 1982. I would ask the 59 students and the 10 teachers and parents seated in the members' gallery to now rise and receive the warm reception of this Assembly.
First point of order, Minister of Career Development and Employment.
Mr. Speaker, my point of order is based on Boshane's page 141, section 481, item C, of which I'll refer back to while making my point of order. Earlier in the question period, Mr. Speaker, the honourable member for Edmonton Jasper Place stood in his chair to ask a question, and in doing so, he made reference to the absence of the Minister of Environment. Mr. Speaker, on occasions due to ministerial responsibilities, as well as MLAs, they sometimes have to excuse themselves from House duties. And then as well, Mr. Speaker, as a courtesy, the Deputy House Leader advised the official opposition of Minister's absence. And I'd like to read then what Section 481 refers to. Besides the prohibitions contained in Standing Order 18, it has been sanctioned by usage that a member, while speaking, must not, C, refer to the presence or absence of specific members. Now, Mr. Speaker, I would suggest, therefore, it was no surprise to the honourable member for Edmonton Jasper Place
that the Honourable Minister of Environment was absent, as earlier or later in the session, the Honourable Member himself was to be excused, but graciously returned to his seat to allow the point of order, I might add. And in doing so, then, Mr. Speaker, I would ask your ruling on point of order.
Jasper, please.
This is a very serious matter, Mr. Speaker, and I'm actually glad that the Minister raised it. It is true, you know, standing orders provided. Section 10, that every member is bound to attend the service of the Assembly unless leave of absence has been given by Mr. Speaker. And Beauchesne states very clearly that in modern times the ensuring of attendance in the Commons has become the principal function of the party machinery. The whips of the various parties make it their duty to secure adequate representation. I don't want to reflect on the presence or absence of the whip, but I do want to say that this list that's provided by the House leaders is usually 30 to 40% inaccurate. The Minister of the Environment showed as absent yesterday and was here. Today he shows as absent and he's not here, but whether I can or can't know. For example, the Minister of Labour was shown to be absent but was present. The Minister of Economic Development was shown to be absent but was present. If we he's missing but here, and we ran our lives according to this list, we'd be in all kinds of trouble. And I simply would like to make the observation, what in the world kind of government has 13 ministers' absence on one day? My question wasn't the Minister of the Environment at all. I was trying to ask a question of the Premier, who didn't show on the list as absent. Found out he wasn't there, so I tried the Minister of the Environment. He wasn't there, and so I tried to get the acting Premier, and the government was so confused that the acting Minister of the Environment stood up. What kind of a way to run a government is this?
Well, honourable members, I think that sort of clears the air a bit on it, but very skillfully done by Edmonton Jasper Place to then go through a roll call of the House this afternoon. But all of it still in contravention of what Beauchesne clearly states. But I'm quite certain that we now have vetted enough that we really don't need to be referring to absences and presence of the House. Second point of order, purported point of order, Edmonton Kingsway.
Mr. Speaker, my point of order relates to Beauchesne 495A, and it is because the Minister of Public Works read extensively from a particular document. I believe it was some kind of a financial statement related to the lottery funds, and so therefore he should table it in the House.
Order, please. I know it's a minor point, but I assume you mean 495-1, not 495A, but that's beside the point. The documents that were shown that I could see from the chair seem to be published reports that the chair will certainly undertake to check with the minister to make certain that any documents cited at any kind of length would indeed be tabled, if they're not already made public. Westlock Sturgeon.
Here, mine covers, point of order covers actually all the way from 485 to 492, Mr. Speaker. And it was on your question of ruling me out of order on the word odious. I have checked and I can't find it there, and I know, Mr. Speaker, you have doubled or put more questions in that questionable, or more words in that questionable category than any other speaker in the history of this House, but I couldn't, Mr. Speaker, I couldn't find odious. When I think of all the alternatives to odious, I think odious is not too bad. And very appropriate.
Well, thank you, honourable member, for pointing out part of my fame and notoriety is caused by members of the House making various statements that had to be called to order. It was not done at my instigation. However, The member was not called to order so much because of the use of the word odious, even though that was mentioned by the chair. The problem was that we had a very extended series of questions. I believe this occurred with one of the supplementaries, and that in actual fact so much time had transpired together with a lot of laughter, and believe you me, the chair is all too welcoming of the fact that there'd be lots of laughter here, and using up the time of question period, it makes life easier up here. But the real problem was that the honourable member was going on too long with regard to the supplementaries. Thank you. Now might we go to a standing order 40 request, please, Edmonton Gold Bar.
Mr. Speaker, I beg leave to propose under Standing Order 40 the following motion to the Assembly. Be it resolved that the Legislative Assembly of Alberta send its sincere congratulations to the 14 outstanding women who received honours at the 1992 YWCA dinners in Calgary and Edmonton this week. Those who received the Women of Distinction tribute were the following. I'd like to read their names into the record, Mr. Speaker. Dr. Sheila Malm, Maureen DeSorcy, Joanne James, Candace Struthers, Vivienne A. Youngman, Dr. Nancy Brager, Patricia Allen, Dr. Mary Duggan, Teresa Maxwell, Mary Engelman, Phyllis Givanetti, Alice Elzinga, Margaret Mooney, and Betty Rawlinson. Mr. Speaker, in speaking to the urgency of the motion, last night in fact, and Tuesday evening in Alberta, in Calgary and in Edmonton, the YWCA held tribute to women dinners. The object of these events is to acknowledge the manifold contributions of women in many fields of practice and activities in our communities. Distinguished women, Mr. Speaker, without whose activities our communities would certainly be not as rich as they are. The nominations of many of the women emphasize those whose work often goes unrecognized, unrewarded, and unnoticed. And yet it's of great significance in our lives and in the lives of those they serve. I believe members of this House should express their gratitude to the YWCAs in presenting us this opportunity to acknowledge these women who are honored here. The women whose names I've read, Mr. Speaker, are simply illustrations, constant reminders to us as the beneficiaries of the many acts of courage and compassion and creativity that they have performed. I ask, Mr. Speaker, for unanimous consent of the members for approval of this motion.
Well, the first request is the matter of urgency. All those in favor that the matter proceed to be dealt with, those in favor please say aye. Aye. Opposed please say no. Thank you. Perhaps the honourable member would now like to move the motion.
Speaker, I am privileged and honored to move the motion.
Government House Leader.
Very briefly, I would like to commend the honourable member for bringing forward the motion and to indicate on behalf of the government our total support with respect to this motion, not only to these outstanding women, as the honourable member has indicated, but the YWCA, because to initiate this sort of a program obviously takes a lot of thought, a lot of planning, a lot of organization. But the principle to which it is directed is important to all of us, and we just want to lend our support and our congratulations and best wishes to all those selected.
Thank you. Member for Edmonton Avonmore.
Speaker, I'd like to also thank the honourable member from Gold Bar and give our support to this motion. I think for too long women's contribution has been invisible and unrecognized. However, throughout history, women have contributed to the betterment of society through their work in healthcare, science, art, religion, literature. And so we need to commend the Y for their initiative in drawing our attention to the contributions women have made to our society, to honor the women that were in fact honored last night, and know that they are but a tiny number of the many, many women who make such significant contributions to the well-being of our society.
Minister of Labour.
Mr. Speaker, I'm very much pleased to have this motion before us and wish to support it on behalf of all my colleagues. I was lucky enough to be at the Calgary Women of Distinction dinner this year, and there were 41 nominees there. In Edmonton, there would have been a like number, and as we say, every nominee is a woman of distinction, and every nominee truly is a role model for all of the rest of us. The theme for the Calgary dinner was Champions of Change. I think that's a very appropriate theme for all of the women of distinction that we have in Alberta. I'm very pleased to support this motion.
Question? Summation? All those in favor of the motion before us, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Let the record show unanimously. Before moving on, the chair has been in receipt of a note. I thought I had made it abundantly clear that if there were any other points of order today, that notification be given. The chair had 3 down here, and the 3 have been dealt with, but I received a note saying that it was understood by some members of the House that the member for Calgary Forest Lawn wanted to raise a point of order. I cannot comment whether he's present with us or not at the moment. But if indeed the member wishes to raise a point of order, it will be dealt with tomorrow if the member is indeed in the House tomorrow. Orders of the day.
Written question.